We are officially at the height of Spoopy Month, and you can't really do Pokemon YouTubing or YouTubing at all if you don't play along and make some fun Halloween-themed videos. That is what we're doing today, as we are going to take a look at some creepy, almost M-rated-like things that have been included in the Pokemon games over the years. These are things that I don't think anyone really minds being in the games, and many enjoy it because it makes the games a whole lot more mature and just intriguing in general. But coming from a series like Pokémon that's rated E for everyone, it's pretty shocking to see this kind of stuff included, and some of them are actually pretty absurd with how far they go. So let's go ahead and dive into this topic, which is all made possible by today's wonderful sponsor, UCast Studios, who I run my Pokemon podcast with, and Moorpark College.
Are you ready to jumpstart your future? Moorpark College is still accepting new students for the fall semester, and you can enroll right now. Whatever your goal, whether it be to earn a certificate or degree, explore your interests right out of high school, or learn skills to pave the way to a new career, your future awaits at Moorpark College. Step into your future today at moorparkcollege.edu/CE.
Okay, let's start first with one that doesn't seem to really get a lot of attention, but it is significantly dark and just downright unnecessary for a Pokemon game, so it's a bit of a shock that it's even in the games at all. In Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Mauville City got a major makeover and went from being just your average Pokemon town to what essentially amounts to a giant dome-like city that is almost completely contained indoors. One of the other things that came along with this big change was a really dark outlook on becoming an adult and some of the dark, terrible things that can come with it. I don't know if Game Freak were trying to make the remakes age with the kids that played the originals or something, but there are a significant number of NPCs in Mauville City who are all distraught about being able to pay for their rent, their house, or even being entirely evicted from their homes altogether. It starts with this guy on the lower level of the city who makes a somewhat lighthearted joke about having to pay his mortgage, but then when you go into Mauville Hill, the upper portion of the city, you start to see significantly more of this kind of stuff, and it only gets darker. There's one guy who's being harassed by who seems to be a collection agent of some kind for not paying his rent on time, and speaking of him, there are several of these agent-looking guys who all seem to be in the city for the same thing, to harass and pressure people out of their home and out of their money. There's another one of these guys who seems to sell you repossessed property, and another who gives you a megastone, which seems like it came from a house that had been foreclosed on. So, why is this in a Pokemon game? I'm all for more mature elements, but dang, this is just straight up depressing. It's not even really contributing to anything significant, it's just this really dark, morbid, underlying theme that the ORAS version of Mauville City has, and it's really kind of concerning, and I personally have no idea how this made it into a game that's supposed to be appropriate for kids. Another one that people don't often talk about in terms of what is truly going on in this moment is between Silver and Giovanni. We get to see Silver and Giovanni converse in the special Celebi event from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and the big takeaway from this moment is that Silver is Giovanni's son. However, what most people don't really mention is the fact that we literally witness Silver's father look him in the eye and walk out on him. He completely abandons his own son, who is only 10 or 11 years old most likely, and he does it because he's more concerned for his pride, since Red had just defeated Team Rocket, than he is for his own child. Even though it's presented in a less heavy manner, this is some heavy stuff, and we didn't just hear about it either. The game literally had us watch Giovanni abandon his child, who is an actual child, mind you, and not even think twice about it. Honestly, this largely justifies Silver's actions in Pokemon Gold and Silver because he was basically a homeless 10-year-old at that point. He truly had to fend for himself and had a very tragic weight on his shoulders. It honestly makes Silver a really sad character, and it's not really the kind of thing you would expect to see from a Pokemon game, which has such a focus on a child audience. Also, an honorable mention to add on to this would have to be Guzma's backstory from Sun and Moon, because he was also abused by his parents. But in Guzma's case, the game implies that he was literally beaten with golf clubs. So, yeah, child abuse is definitely not something you would expect to see in a child-friendly game, but here we are. Next up is another one from Oraz, because those games are actually extremely dark the more you look into them. This one concerns C. Mauville, and by now you've probably heard about how C. Mauville is a terrible, ominous place, so we'll run through the storyline quick. Basically, through various journal entries and other evidence you can find in C. Mauville, you come to find out that the purpose of this project was to kill Pokemon to harvest their infinity energy, and then use that energy to help power New Mauville, which, as I looked into in a previous video, is a post-apocalyptic underground bunker that is meant to shelter the residents of Hoenn whenever the end of the world happens. So, yeah, that's nice. Game Freak even went so far as to include Spiritomb in this area, implying that the souls of these dead Pokemon were stored inside of its odd keystone, which ultimately created the Spiritomb once enough souls were accumulated. Don't get me wrong, I love that this was included in the games, it's one of my favorite parts of Oraz, but my goodness, Game Freak, they really didn't hold anything back. The only thing that keeps this in the E for everyone category is that it's all just implied, it's not directly stated. If it was any kind of direct, the game would for sure at least have a T rating, because it's honestly that dark. One other thing about C. Mauville I wanted to mention though, since that main topic is kind of well known, is that there's another very strange and suggestive occurrence that occurs here. In one of the facility's locked rooms, you'll find two girls facing each other, one of whom only blushes when you talk to her, and the other who freaks out about you being in there and says that she locked the door to show the other girl how hard it is to be a trainer. Something tells me that that wasn't what they were doing though, and I don't think I would be the only one in that category either. So, like, what's up with C. Mauville? This area is just full of mature adult things that really shouldn't be in a kid's game, yet they somehow get away with it because it's all just implied. It's actually kind of ridiculous. Did I say C. Mauville? Because there is even more from this location that is extremely dark, making it even more mind-boggling how these games didn't even get an E10+ rating, let alone T or beyond. In another instance of something that's all implied, throughout the various documents you are able to find in C. Mauville to learn more about its past, are various letters written to one of the scientists on the project, Raizo Cosmo, from his son, a young Professor Cosmo who we meet in the game. The letters go into excruciating and heartbreaking detail about how Raizo never sees his son due to his work, and how his marriage is falling apart, and how his wife is even possibly having an affair, and how when Raizo does actually see his family, him and his wife even get involved in domestic disputes. Like, if you've never seen these for yourself, I am not exaggerating. This is literally all in a game that is rated E for everyone. Pokemon games are known for all having their fair share of darker moments, but after a more thorough analysis, Oraz is easily the darkest games of them all. If people who rate these games actually uncovered every single little detail like this, it would have to be rated higher than just E for everyone. I'm not complaining at all, as I've said. It's just really shocking that they've been able to get away with the kind of stuff that they have. And yet, if they even think about including the game corner, it'll be an instant M-level rating in Europe, which really just goes to show you how absolutely flawless the game's rating system truly is. Surprisingly, we're actually going to leave Oraz now and look at something from Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. On Route 15, you'll come to a small beach where you can find a young boy standing next to a Sandygast. If you talk to him, he'll say that he wants to show you his sandcastle, and if you agree to see it, the Sandygast will attack you. After defeating it, the boy will say how he thought he could make you get sand for him. What is actually happening in this little event, however, is that the boy is literally being possessed by the Sandygast and is being used to bring more sand to the Sandygast in order to grow its body, and it was attempting to possess your body too. This behavior is all laid out in its Pokédex entries, but it's one thing for it to be a Pokédex entry and another to watch it play out right before your eyes. This Pokemon literally possessed a small child, took over its mind to do its bidding for itself. That is frightening to say the least, and while it's awesome that we get to see this Pokemon's Dex entry play out for real, it's shocking that this one in particular was done, since it has such a dark theme. When it comes to Pokemon, they are definitely all about using kids as the subject of their darkest moments, and that just makes them even more dark and even more surprising that they actually ended up in the games. So those were some creepy, M-rated type moments in the Pokemon games. I honestly barely scratched the surface in this department, however, because there are also way more that I didn't mention. I wanted to highlight some that are less talked about in this video, but if you have any others you'd like to mention, feel free to leave them in the comments below. You can also leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new for more Pokemon content, which is greatly appreciated. With that said, I'll be back with another video very soon, and until the next one, as always, I love you all, thanks for watching, and I will smell you guys later.